to neck resets, this video is for you. I thought we'd take a look at this one today. It's a KAY from 1959. It's an archtop guitar. And what I want to do is show you how I fit, shim, and glue in the neck. And we want to focus particularly on the neck angle today and how to achieve that with confidence. Stick around. In addition to the neck angle, we also want to look at the fretwork, the truss rod, the steel reinforcements in the neck. This is a magnet, proving that there's metal in there, steel. We want to look at the setup a little bit before we get started with this. And this is a model number 6836. We'll check the neck relief with no string tension and see that there's already about 0.08 of an inch relief in the neck. That's just the wood. Maybe even a little bit more right here at the first fret. So when it has string tension, it could pull into about 0.15 of an inch for sure. Sometimes there's a giant ski jump at the end of the fretboard too, which we have to take into account. And also, this one is missing a strip of binding right here. So in this video, extra bonus, I'll show you how to fit and replace a missing piece. I'm just going to avoid the subject of pulling the neck today. I've done plenty of videos on that already. And we probably, once we're ready to glue it in, want to get this neck angle up where the straight edge goes up and above the archtop bridge here. And we might want to raise the bridge up just a couple turns. This is a nice original bridge too. Notice how flat it is right here in the center of the arch. No arch at all. Another thing, we'll want to look at the sides of the guitar and see if it's bulged out at all. The last one I had here had about a 3-foot radius here. This one has a little bulge, even worse over here on this side. I think when they were made, this area was completely flat, and over the years it kind of bulges like that, becomes convex. So we'll have to shape the oh man, yeah, big old piece of glue right there maybe. I'll prep this area a little bit as well. I want to test and see exactly what the radius is on those shoulders there. And my friends over at the Luth group have started uploading these 3D prints. They call them Luth prints. And this one in particular, Paul McAvoy uploaded. You can join the Luth group for, I think, $12 a month to get access to these and print them out on your 3D printer. I'm going to look at the 4-foot. Most of you already have what's close to a 2-foot radius on hand, which would be a 20-inch fretboard radius gauge. It's bigger than that. Let's look at 3-foot. It's, except for that big bulge right there, it's a little bigger than a 3-foot radius. Well, here's a 4-foot on this side, and that looks about right. 4-foot, but this other side over here is got a little extra bulge. Yeah, it's maybe even like a 5-foot. Yeah, that side's more like a 5-foot. Yeah, let's start with 5. Next, I'll transfer that 5-foot radius over here in my total vise number 7. Another Luth group member, Jonathan Scott, tipped me up to this. He started using some copper shielding tape on his bridge sanding efforts, and I found it useful for neck resetting efforts. It helps me visualize exactly where I'm at during the process of trimming by having this bright reflective material on a spot that I'm working on. So we'll take the straight part of that and stick it right down onto here. And for neck resets, we're always taking a little more material off on this if we're creating a greater neck angle. If we were decreasing the neck angle, we'd take a little bit more off from this end than on that end. But you can almost, 99% of the time guarantee your neck reset's going in the direction of increasing the angle. Fortunately, this neck had already come off during shipment, I suppose, and my customer just was able to give it a little yank, and it fell right off. But, on Martins and Gibsons, you'd usually start this type of process with the neck still glued on, but since it's an Archtop and since it's an old guitar, I think we can be safe to say we're going to take off 1 millimeter at the very least here. So I'm marking 1 millimeter, and I'm going to just peel it away so I can see where that mark is right there. Next I'll lay my 5-foot here, and I'll have it decreased to nothing right there. You can clamp this down or just kind of hold it in place like this and score away the shielding tape. You peel that off. Alright, so we've got our little line here. We're going to work our way down to this with my die grinder out in the garage. You may use a chisel or just a sandpaper on a stick if you like. But I figure since I've got the tool, I may as well do it quick for you all and show you some of this new equipment that I've been using. It's pretty accurate, the die grinder. It's a mini die grinder from Harbor Freight. It's $15. I'm sorry, it might be closer to $20, but it's very affordable. It's good to have. All right, we'll make our mark here. This area is going to be flat, no radius. And we'll just eyeball 1 millimeter here. This time I'll clamp the radius gauge with one of these little Bessie clamps. Itty bitty Bessie. Alright, we'll go down and grind this off, and then we'll glue in a couple shims. And we'll let the glue dry, and then we'll be in business. Here's the tool. It's the McGraw from Harbor Freight. It just has a twist-on disc. I think I've got a 80 grit. I got a whole pack of 100 or 50 or something off of eBay. And I think this was 20. I put the PSI at about 50 pounds. And I want to be real careful not to nick that. So I don't want to come any further than about here. And then I might put on a dust mask. This is much more accurate than you might think. I really get in there close with my reading glasses and my optivisor over top of the glasses so that I can see right when I hit that line of the foil tape. Just got to be really careful not to hit that little spacer that goes under the fretboard extension. You can angle it back a little bit too to create a little relief cut. Deeper towards you see how I'm angling it now. don't want to hit that spacer. You don't want to hit the dovetail too hard either. It's best to stay away from the dovetail and just go in with a chisel afterwards. As you can see there, I nipped it just a little bit on the edge. There's a look at the air compressor. I usually kick it up to about 50 psi. There's the workbench with the StewMac vise, and there's my buffing wheels. Alright, back over here to the total vise. I'm going to load it in like so. And drop it down. Well, let me take the tape off. And I'll drop it all the way down like that. A little bit of water. And just I'm going to undercut all of this wood closer to the dovetail, leaving about an 1/8 inch perimeter, so that when I pull my sandpaper, the sandpaper isn't being held back by all that wood on the inside. So I start chiseling like this. I like putting a trash can right under the neck, right like that. And then I start undercutting, using the dovetail as like my little backstop there. And then we'll move on to doing some sandpaper pulls. What I've decided to do is to try to treat this ski jump. You'll see the end of the fretboard comes this way too much. And what we want it to do is fall away this way. So what I do is I put it in the vise and I start heating it up. I'm going to do this before shimming and pulling sandpaper. And before I forget, we're going to put in a new piece of binding right here. So I've got this stock from Stuart McDonald. It's about 60 thousandths of an inch thick. I'm going to lop off a piece. And we'll pre-trim that. What I got here is a heat blanket plugged into this speed control. It's a router speed control, and it allows me to scale back the voltage from 110 to 70. 70 just seems to be a sweet, safe voltage for this particular. Here you can see it's on 80 volts. So there's 74 volts. I'll just clamp it up here, and it'll start heating up real nice. Got a little block of wood so the clamp doesn't burn up. I'll clamp it right like that for about 15 minutes. This whole area is going to get pretty hot. And so what I'll be doing to bend the ski jump out of this is I have 4 of these bar clamps. I'll end up taking all 4 and maybe a 5th one of some sort, and I'll clamp them all on here, and just the gravity, the weight of the clamps, the gravity will pull it'll bend the ski jump right out of that. You could also wet the fretboard, but we'll see, that might not be necessary. We'll let it set for a little bit. It's hot to the touch up here on this side now, so it's penetrated through the fretboard spacer and the thickness of the fretboard wood. I think that'll give us a good result. Okay, let's see. I hope we got rid of that ski jump. All those heavy clamps and gravity are your friend.
Looks dead flat now. Progress. Okay, now we're gonna put them shims on. This wood is chewed up. When that neck came off, there must have been some tear out right there. So we're gonna put that glue right here to help
Fill the gap. Okay, I'm using liquid hide glue for this. It's a good gap filler, and we've got lots of tear out right here on the dovetail. I want to make sure to fill that in. Got my tapered cawls all waxed up so they don't stick to the shim. Alright, and that gives me two parallel surfaces for the clamp to ride up against. This dovetail is more tapered than most, so I should make myself another set that's a little more extremely tapered. This is the first time I've come across one that wants to kind of move around like that. You see how they want to slide up this way? You can imagine you couldn't do this without the cawls. But we'll let it sit for like 3 or 4 hours, and then we'll take those off and we'll let it set for another 3 or 4. While those shims are air drying, unclamped, I'll work on shaping this little piece of for the missing binding. This is the, I guess, ABS plastic from StewMac. It's the white color. We'll tint it after it's installed. Put a little bit of dirty amber stain in some, mixed in with some white, and just brush it on with a Q-tip. Let it dry for a while. But again, with the foil tape, I found another use for it here, tracing the line of the fretboard radius, 12-inch radius over here. Peel back the tape, and then we'll take it over to the disc sander, and hopefully we won't have to do any shaping once it's cured, glued down. Glue it on with Titebond glue. But first, let's rough up the surfaces to give the glue a little tooth. A little something to grab onto. I'll just use 80 grit. I'll clean up the rosewood ledge where it's gonna set. I'll clean that up with some naphtha, and then I'll use this canopy glue. It's a very thin glue, so it'll go into all those little crevices that I just made with the sandpaper. It'll stick to the end grain of the wood real nice. It'll actually it'll wick right into that end grain. Wipe up the excess, and we'll clamp it down with some StewMac binding tape. Just like so. Notice how brass looking these frets are. Those are the original brass frets. Now I'm going to want a nice flat surface here. Got a little lump, so we'll file that away. We still got to do some sandpaper pulls now, don't we? I think I'll wait to do that till I commit to that I have the proper angle on this neck. We're going to have to string it up with these shims on it. Without the shims, we couldn't really even string it up because it's just too wiggly in that pocket. It was a sloppy dovetail. But this is a Japanese marking knife. I used to do everything with a number 11 X-Acto blade, and you have to clench onto that so tight it hurts your hands. Well, this marking knife is excellent. Saves on wear and tear on the old hands. So, back to the binding. Next day, it's cured. I let it sit for 20 hours. And that's a really nice fit. See, I didn't want it. You see how all the other binding, the old stuff, is kind of shrunken down below the rosewood. This stuff didn't even have to be perfectly flush. It could have made it just shy of the rosewood. It would have blended in just fine. But we'll soften that top corner a little bit, give it a little radius. And I'll go up in grits to 220 and 320. $320. 320 grit P grade free cut gold stick it sandpaper from 3M Abrasives. The reason for this 320 is to give the white ABS plastic a uniform scratch mark or sanding mark in it so that the dirty amber stain can soak in uniformly. And dirty amber stain, let me tell you guys, I should market this stuff because it's useful on almost every old vintage binding I color so many things with this. I can't remember the exact ratio when I first started mixing it together, but let's just go half vintage amber and half golden brown and just see how that works for you. Take your golden brown from Color Tone and your vintage amber and mix them half and half into a new container. And now you got you some dirty amber. And if it isn't dark enough the first time, we'll go over it twice. I'll wipe it up with naphtha to clean. And there she is. Dirty amber. Let's give her another swab. For old time's sake. Vintage amber. Dirty amber. Just what the doctor ordered. Now we'll have to put some clear top coat on her. For that, I'll use Glue Boost. But look at these beauties. We got a Guild, what is that, a J30 12 string? Very nice. Got a Yamaha SA2000S back there. Got some nice guitars. There it is. Glue Boost Fill and Finish Ultra Thin. And that is a woman's lip brush. Perfect applicator for this job. I'll lay on a layer and I'll use a little bit of my accelerator over here by the exhaust fan. Accelerate once, twice, 3 times a glue boost. I went to the local guitar show, the Amigo guitar show down in Williamson County, Tennessee, and I got all this stuff from some of my friends. Jack's Guitarcheology. Yeah. I saw Paul Raymond and Michael LaVecchia. They shared a booth. And John Levan. I think he's down in Chapel Hill, Tennessee. He teaches guitar repair courses. I found a crack in the neck block, where the female side of the dovetail, the mortise. See it there? Well, my big head got in the way. That might be why there was a bulge at the beginning of the video. There was a big bulge on that one side. Well, it turns out it's not glued together. There's a big old crack, which gives me the opportunity to fix the neck block through the mortise. That was a good catch. Watch it as I pump the clamp. You'll see that it's opening and closing. It's a little bit of that glue got in there. Wish I could have forced a little more in there, but we do the best we can. Clamp slipping all over the place. Hockey pucks are really good for that. They have a really nice tack. Traction. So we're going to have to wait a couple more hours before we move forward, since I just did another glue up. Anywho, I put a little chalk. I waited a few hours. I put a little chalk in the mortise, and I pushed the tendon back in there, and I saw where the chalk had transferred onto the shims, and now I'm scraping off where the chalk was transferred. It should go in a little further every time. Correcting neck geometry on a 1959 KAY Archtop. We're going to be using StewMac hot hide glue. The intricate fitting of a KAY's Archtop dovetail joint is going to be documented, emphasizing the precision required to restore proper neck geometry. We'll use my little sanding stick. See if we can get this baby down in there a little further. Historical integrity will be maintained through the exclusive use of hot hide glue. I'll be providing my viewers with a masterclass in mid-century instrument structural preservation. But what's going to happen in a minute here, and you'll see, is that I get it all strung up after getting it to fit in there just right. I do a couple sandpaper pulls. I get it strung up, and I still need to take more off. This type of neck angle failure is so common in these 1950s mass-produced KAY instruments. You know, there's a little less, I guess, concern when you're working on one of these than whether if you're working on a sort of like a pre or a wartime Gibson Martin. You know, a harmony, a KAY, a Stella comes in, it's kind of like, you know, it's like doing, you know, practice run for when you get one of the valuable guitars into the shop. But I'm going to be, this whole time we've been visualizing how this is all going to come together, and we'll get it, we'll put these Gibson strings on it. We got an 11 through 52 set, 80/20 bronze. And lo and behold, we get it all strung up. I'm using my Danny West 3D printed little deals in between the strings, and we got our scissor jack with my thing, and the action's still sky high. It's ridiculous. So I'm gonna have to take off another millimeter. The math behind why a few millimeters of shift at the heel creates unplayable action. All this is going to be corrected here real soon. I'm going to take it back down to the garage. Of course, I got to take it all apart again. And I'm going to repeat the entire process of grinding off the millimeter. Yes, I'm going to use the foil tape again. Just going to repeat everything y'all just saw in the last 10 minutes. I'm going to do the whole thing again. I won't take off a full 1.6 millimeters, but I'll take off a good millimeter, maybe a little bit more than 1 millimeter. 1 and change. And this time, 2 or 3 sandpaper pulls, and it was like a beautiful looking fit. Got the hot glue, got the mortise and tenon all hot from with the hair dryer. Let's slather it on. Hot hide glue, just like the violin makers use. This assures that the next guy that goes in here to reset this neck doesn't have the nightmare of trying to clean off synthetic yellow wood glue from the whole joint. He can just wipe this clean, make his adjustments, use this stuff again. It sticks to itself. It's a beautiful thing, and it dries rock hard, crystal-like almost, and it dries in hours. 4 or 5 hours later, I can string this guitar up again, and it's almost ready to go. But I'm always most comfortable bringing the guitar back over here to the String Tech workstation, my tech deck. I'm just putting 1 shim over here on the bass side, 1 loose shim. That's what I was doing there. I was sticking that shim in there. And I'm going to clamp the neck and put it aside.
Job in the city, working for a man every night and day, but never lost a minute of sleeping, worrying about the way things might have